Bob Costas. We talked about the interview that Bob had during Super Bowl week of Tom Brady, and Bob joining us now. How did we get into this far into this, Bob?
Well, I think it's a combination of the infraction and also the circumstances in which it occurred, or the context in which it occurred. It's been a bad couple of years for the NFL. Bountygate in New Orleans, the bullying scandal in Miami, the domestic abuse charges, the child abuse situation with Adrian Peterson. And in many of these cases, the NFL's rulings have been questioned as either arbitrary or, in some cases, and this may seem harsh, even incompetent. There's been heat on Roger Goodell. And now we have an undeniable rules infraction. It's a misdemeanor in terms of moral behavior alongside these other things, but it's an undeniable infraction, and it happens with the marquee team, the reigning Super Bowl champions, and with the glamour boy quarterback. Plus, the Super Bowl champions have a rap sheet. Up until now, it doesn't involve Brady, but they do have a rap sheet with Belichick, and we all know about that. And so it's the context in which this occurred. In isolation, is this worth 4 games and a first-round draft choice? Probably not. But in the present atmosphere in the NFL, Roger Goodell and the league could not be perceived as going soft on Tom Brady.
Is Brady being punished for cheating or not being cooperative?
I think both. Think about it. Both in the court of public opinion and with the league, he would have been better off if he had said something to this effect at the start. Look, everyone looks for an edge, and I prefer the football at the lowest allowable end of inflation, and I have communicated that to our equipment guys. If they went overboard, either inadvertently or out of their own dedication to me in some misguided way, I'll take responsibility for that. It was not my intention. I'm sorry. Next case. Would some people be on his case? Yes. Would they want an investigation? Yes. But he would look infinitely better if that was the tack he took months ago.
Take us back to the Super Bowl week when you sat down with Brady and you started talking to him about Deflategate. And it felt like you gave him every opportunity to explain himself or, somehow soften this. Mm-hmm. He didn't do a very good job with it. And
no, he didn't.
Felt like he incriminated himself during the interview.
Yeah, I like Tom Brady. That doesn't mean I wouldn't ask him tough questions, but I was giving him every opportunity to state a case, if he had one to make, that would either proclaim his innocence or significantly mitigate his guilt, and he danced all around it in a way that I thought spoke for itself. I walked out of that room feeling that anybody who would have been able to say, look, if anything untoward happened, I had nothing to do with it, would have said it. It just makes common sense. You would have said it. So I think both what he said and what he didn't say in that interview spoke for itself.
What do you think Brady does now?
Well, he appeals. And what could be a byproduct of this is what I think should happen, quite apart from Brady or any of the other cases. The NFL has to have a system like baseball has, where these disputes are settled by an independent arbitrator agreed to by both sides. You can't have a situation where Roger Goodell is both judge and jury. Goodell can still unilaterally decide that he will be the one to hear the appeal. Now, of course, he can say, we commissioned an investigation. I'm not the one who handed down the penalty, and so I'm hearing it as an independent party. But everyone knows that he monitored this situation and that he had input into this situation. I think the league is better off in the long run if an independent arbitrator is always involved in cases like this. Now, the union will push for it on Brady's behalf, and perhaps Goodell will say, all right, it'll probably look better to the public, and the public will probably be better satisfied if we let an independent arbitrator either ratify what I've done or modify it, and we'll see where it goes from there. And I think that's part of the reason, if in fact an independent arbitrator is in the cards, then you can make a case for the 4-game suspension, because if the arbitrator in this theoretical situation, if there is an arbitrator, if he or she reduces the penalty, they're not reducing it from 2 games to 1, which might seem too soft. It goes from 4 to 3 or from 4 to 2, and then the penalty still has some teeth in it.
He's Bob Costas from NBC Sports joining us, Dan Patrick Show. From here on out, Tom Brady is known as what?
One of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, a first ballot Hall of Famer. Common sense tells you that this was not a performance-enhancing act in the same way as using performance-enhancing drugs would be. He didn't need it to be great. It's a self-inflicted wound. Is it a demerit against him? It absolutely is. Did those who hate the Patriots root against them, resent their success? Will they judge it even more harshly? Yes. Will Patriot fans circle the wagons and attribute any and all criticism and punishment to just haters and haters going to hate? Yes. But somewhere in the middle, reasonable people will say this is an all-time great who has a negative next to his name, but he has a pile of positives as well. And those positives will carry the day when we talk about his legacy, I think.
The ratings for our season opener, now with Brady not at quarterback, do they change at all that Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback? Is Brady even allowed in the building? Is he? I know he's allowed to be with the team, with training camp and preseason. Is he allowed to even go to the game?
He can play in preseason. He can practice in preseason. He cannot practice during his suspension. He can go to the games, I'm sure, but I guess he's barred from team workout facilities. I'm guessing that. Yeah. That's my assumption. But I guess he would be at the game. I don't think he'd want to be on camera, so if he's at the game, he's going to be tucked away someplace where the cameras can't get to him, in the back of Robert Kraft's box or something or other. I think our ratings will be very high at the beginning because there'll be a curiosity factor. If the game is not close at halftime and you don't have Tom Brady, then the ratings will fall. But let's suppose that the full suspension holds, and he returns Week 6 on a Sunday night at Indianapolis against the Colts. Then you could be looking at record-breaking regular season ratings because you've got not only a football game, but you got a soap opera, to the nth degree.
If I said you could interview the ball boys, Brady, or the commissioner?
Well, with all due respect to the ball boys, I think they come in a distant third and fourth. I think I'd like to interview the commissioner for a variety of reasons, and he's sidestepped us, perhaps understandably, over the last year. But there's a lot of issues, so I go Commissioner 1, Brady 1A.
Why do you think he sidestepped us at the Super Bowl?
Because he felt that inevitably all the issues surrounding the league, if we asked him the questions that we would ask him, that they would grab some of the headlines from the game itself and perhaps dampen some of the anticipation and build up leading up to the game, and that was his stated reason. Okay, fine, we'll give him a pass on this one, but eventually we'd like to sit down with him.
Well, maybe we punish him for being uncooperative.
Yes, we don't sit down with him for 4 games. We'll only interview him in Week 5.
Will we get to interview him that Thursday?
I hope so.
In Foxborough.
In my opinion, it is part of his obligation as commissioner. I like Roger Goodell very much. I think some of the criticism that he has received has been fair. Some of it has been unfair and or over the top, but it comes with the territory. And also what comes with the territory is answering the questions, not just in press conference situations, but sometimes in legitimate, responsible, one-on-one sit-downs in front of the largest possible audience. And those largest possible audiences are on network telecasts of games.
Can you imagine, though, him going to Foxborough for that opening night?
He doesn't have to go to Foxborough. I'll go to his office on Park Avenue.
But do you think he'll go? Will he be there opening night?
Oh. Interesting. If he wants to stick his chin out and say, "Here I am," you know where to find me. I ain't hiding. That could be interpreted a number of ways. On the other hand, you could say, why turn it into even more of a circus? And my mere presence would do that. And I suspect that will be the road he takes.
Thank you, Bob. Safe travels.
Okay, Dan. Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Bye.
Bob Costas on the run.